All right, let's dive right in. And just so you know, this is the kind of story you only believe because it happened to me. Imagine stepping out onto your porch with a hot cup of coffee, thinking you've bought yourself a little peace and quiet, and then hearing the whine of a chainsaw coming from the edge of your land. That's not some distant nightmare. That's how my Tuesday started. You want a strong hook? Here it is. I watched a man in an Oak Creek preserve jacket, boots crunching down my gravel drive, nod toward a worker revving up a chainsaw at my fence. No es mal, no explanation. Just, sir, we need you to step aside. And that chainsaw, well, it wasn't coming for deadwood. Now, the woods where we lived, those 5 acres of pine and wild, bird-thick silence, they've been my and Maya's sanctuary ever since we left the city behind. Every dawn, you'd see deer moving like ghosts, the air clear except for the hush of leaves. Out there, after years of deadlines and neighbors bickering through the walls, you start to believe in peace again. Or at least you want to. Trouble is freedom like that. It unsettles certain people. Our patch-bordered Oak Creek Preserve. You know the kind of place. Perfect lawns, copy-paste houses, not a garden gnome out of order unless it's got a permit. And running the whole circus was Evelyn Reed, president of the HOA, self-declared guardian of community standards. The first time she came by, she brought a casserole, but her eyes? They weren't looking at us. They were taking inventory. Gravel driveway, old pickup, a cabin that hadn't seen a pressure washer in years. We laughed about it, called it reconnaissance. The Queen of Oak Creek taking stock of the barbarians. But the laughing stopped the morning that chainsaw started howling. I set my coffee down and called out, "You're cutting on the wrong side of the line." Murphy, our dog, started barking up a storm, and Maya, cool as ever but jaw set tight, moved to stand beside me. I stepped forward, boots deep in the gravel. "Turn it off. Now." For a second, the world just held its breath. That's when Evelyn showed up, hands folded, smile sharp as cut glass, waiting for her turn. "Mr. Vance, Mrs. Vance, this is for the good of the community." Maya, bless her, cut in colder than the chainsaw. "This isn't your community. This is our land." The way Evelyn looked at us, you'd think we were the ones trespassing. And right then, I knew. Oak Creek wasn't coming for friendship. They were coming for our freedom, and they were ready to fight. Next up, certified mail, thick envelope, heavy with the kind of dread only legal paper can carry. Oak Creek Preserve Homeowners Association, stamped in red and gray. Maya raised an eyebrow from the porch. "Another welcome basket?" Not quite. The letter demanded we unlock our gate for emergency access or face legal action. Community benefit, they called it. But if you've ever poured 2 feet of concrete for a gate, you know that line's more than just steel. It's the boundary between you and the world. I drove straight to the county office, letter crisp in my pocket. The clerk, Lorraine, just sighed. "Oak Creek again? They tried this with a rancher a couple years back." He lawyered up. "They backed off. Sometimes they push just to see if you'll blink." I wasn't blinking. That night, I sat down and wrote my own letter. No frills, just the facts. The gate, road, and land in question are privately owned and maintained solely by me, Ethan Vance. My property is not, and has never been, subject to Oak Creek Preserve bylaws. Any unauthorized entry will be treated as trespass. I got it notarized and sent it certified. Maya looked over my shoulder. Think they'll get the message? She didn't believe it, neither did I. A couple nights later, the gate went dark. At first, I blamed the solar charger, but when I checked, the wires were clipped, clean, sharp. Someone did this on purpose. I muttered, Murphy growling beside me. That's when I buried the wires in steel, rigged up floodlights and cameras, and let the HOA know. If they wanted a fight, they'd get one. Not a week later, the motion camera caught 2 figures at 2 a.m., headlights from a red pickup, flashlights darting. They rolled out a sign, scenic trail, Oak Creek HOA, temporary access route, and planted it right in my dirt. I called the sheriff's office. Rookie deputy showed up, all polite detachment, took notes, promised a report. I could tell he figured this was just some civil squabble. That's when I called Joe Sanderson, old friend, sharp attorney. Ethan, he said, start documenting everything. And that's what I did. Drone flights, trail cam footage, timestamps, tracks in the mud. When Oak Creek trespassed again, laying out survey stakes and orange markers, I had the whole show on camera. But here's where it twisted, because, see, Oak Creek went for broke. Joe called me one night, voice tight as a piano wire. Ethan, they filed an easement claim with the county. Says your driveway is a historic trail corridor. And get this, it's signed by Charles Langley. My heart stopped. Langley had sold me this land, and he'd been dead 5 years. And the notary on the document retired in 2011. But the stamp date was last fall. They forged it, Joe said. Handwriting matches a board member who used to work at the county land office. That's not just bluffing. That's a felony. I looked at all my clean paperwork, the deeds, the contracts, and they're in the middle a dirty forgery. Maya just steadied my hand, then we exposed them. Next morning, we walked into the courthouse with Joe. We filed for an injunction, restraining order, the works. The clerk barely raised an eyebrow at the word forgery. By noon, a judge signed the order. HOA barred from my property. But I knew that paper wouldn't stop them. Not really. And sure enough, before dawn one day, a generator started roaring and metal screamed outside. I bolted from the house to find Oak Creek trucks in my drive, angle grinder chewing through my gate, Evelyn presiding in sunglasses like she was judging a flower show. I filmed the whole mess, drones circling overhead, streaming to the cloud. This footage is going everywhere, I told her, and for the first time, her smile flickered. Deputies showed up, this time a veteran. I handed him the injunction, the deed, the footage. Ma'am, he said to Evelyn, did you knowingly bring heavy equipment onto this land despite this order? She tried her line about zoning allowances, but he cut her off. The crew packed up fast, leaving my gate a twisted wreck. Maya squeezed my hand. They thought they could bulldoze us. I nodded. They've made their move. Now it's our turn. We took them to court. The room was packed, neighbors, locals, even some blogger with a notebook. Joe laid out the evidence, drone footage on the big screen, Evelyn front and center, giving orders. And then came the paperwork, that forged easement with a dead man's signature. The gallery erupted. The judge ordered a forensic audit of HOA finances and sent the fake documents to the DA. The game was changing. That's when the smear campaign started. Anonymous posts online, calling us selfish, saying we endangered the community. Leaked emails from me threatening neighbors, all fake. I could feel the stares at the hardware store, hear the mutters. Maya said, then we show them who the real villains are. That night, Joe emailed internal HOA messages. Evelyn admitting the access scheme was about expansion money, not safety. So we filed a civil suit, not just against the HOA, but the board members personally. Within a week, board members started resigning. Evelyn doubled down, standing at a podium, painting us as villains, but the crowd wasn't buying it anymore. The audit uncovered tens of thousands of dollars in consulting fees paid to shell companies, including Sunrest Development LLC, run out of a P.O. box linked to Evelyn herself. Then came the criminal charges, fraud, forgery, misuse of funds. Evelyn was arrested, dragged out of her own HOA meeting. Her loyalists tried to keep fighting, vandalizing my property, cutting wires, tossing bottles, but with every stunt, we caught them on camera, handed footage to the deputies. One night, 2 of them were caught red-handed, bags of gravel in hand, laying out another access route. They cracked under questioning, tying the sabotage directly to Evelyn. The verdict, when it came, was thunderous, guilty on all counts. Evelyn sat pale and shaking, stripped of every ounce of authority. Sentencing to come, but the power was already gone. Oak Creek's fortress crumbled. Neighbors demanded answers. The queen deposed for good. But victory wasn't the end. The damage needed fixing. I rebuilt the gate, plate steel, deeper concrete, overlapping cameras. A granite marker at the southern ridge. This land was not for sale. Neighbors started coming by, offering help, some even apologizing. The fence between us, literal and otherwise, began to turn from a wall into a line. And Maya, always thinking of the future, placed a new plaque on that monument. Freedom is defended, not granted. The woods kept their promise, finally. Silence, dignity, and a hard-won sense of freedom. In the end, it wasn't about a gate or a deed. It was about standing your ground, fighting for what's right, and realizing that sometimes the true battle is for the story people tell about you. And you know what? I wouldn't wish that fight on anybody. But if you ever have to pick your line in the dirt, make sure it's worth defending, because you might find the world tries to move it for you. So let me ask, where would you draw your line? What's worth standing your ground for, even when the odds look bad and the whole world seems against you? Drop your thoughts below, or better yet, share your own story. Justice isn't a thing you wait for. Sometimes you have to go out and make it.